Okay, it's 8:01, everybody. Good morning and welcome to Monday Morning Motivation. And as we always love to say, congratulations for not making excuses and being here with us this morning or evening for some of you who are in the US or joining us from another part of this world. We're super excited to have our good friend and an amazing, outstanding creative life coach and art educator and a serial entrepreneur, Alysia, with us today. She's going to speak about living a colorful life. If somebody of you would like to join one of our 5 WeChat groups, please scan the QR code. We have 2,500 members all over China now, but we also have more people joining from different parts of the world. And what is Monday Morning Motivation? Well, we're just a community with like-minded people who want to get up early, get more things done, and just really start like in an inspired, motivated, and most important, in a positive way in a new day and week. So this is Monday Morning Motivation, and in case you are looking for a nice present, whether it's an ebook or a printed version, we have this also in purely English. So 365 Days of Motivation was created by my colleague Maria and myself. And you have everyday motivational quotes, lots of exercises on goal setting, on gratitude journaling to boost your happiness, and so on. And then last but not least, my colleague Maria and I, we always do this for free. And this community and every Monday morning, this webinar, they're going to stay for free. But if you feel like you love what we're doing, feel free to donate something. And we also give 50% to the 1 million tree project. So we've already planted more than 200 trees, thanks to your help as well, in Inner Mongolia, or the organization did it. And in case you or your friends ever missed these amazing webinars, we also have recordings, so we got you covered. No problem, but we want to make sure you really don't make excuses and just join, whether you're on the subway, you're under the shower, you're having breakfast, it doesn't matter. And thanks everybody for putting on your cameras as well. Alysia, I would say this stage is yours. I'll hand over the rights to you. The next 20 minutes will be for Alysia. She will share with us. And after this, then you can ask any kind of question that you have. And
wonderful.
Let's do it.
So good morning, everybody. I really appreciate everybody being here. So we're going to get started because we have a lot of stuff, a lot of material to go over. I will be putting the slides into the motivation. I'll have a PDF of it. So you don't have to worry about screenshotting furiously at 8 a.m. Don't worry about it, or taking too many notes. And so if you want to contact me, my QR code's on the left. I'll have this at the end as well. And I have a Creatively Connected group, which is a group of people who follow the things that I'm doing, the events, things like that. And also we have a lot of conversations about creativity and creative living. So feel free to add that group as well. So without further ado, we're going to talk about living a colorful life. So in this presentation today, you are going to figure out how to use color intentionally to live a better life. Nothing better than on a rainy day when it's gray outside to bring color inside to your life. So we're going to talk about what color is and how to live colorfully. What does that mean? What is the basic science of color? What are the color theory basics? How color is used around us and it influences us, and how we can use color. So this leads us to point number 1. Colors speak all languages. So colors really transcend a lot of things. If you see somebody who's wearing a very long, big white dress, in about 90% of the cultures, you're going to know they're getting married. That's just the thing. If you see somebody who is wearing all black, in all countries that are not, there's some countries that traditionally have all black, but usually that's a sign of piety. So it's usually either a religious, a pious, or it can show that they might be down or depressed. So these are all the kinds of things that you see. So I'm going to stop the subtitles because then you can see the images better. Okay, so this is one of my favorite quotes because it sets the stage for everything else. So we're going to talk about visual communication. Guys, color is a nonverbal communication that you're using all the time and that's used against you, for you, around you. And so now we're going to become a little more cognizant of that. So color, I love this definition, is a phenomenon of light, a phenomenon of light. And we're going to talk about what that means in a minute. But the other thing is, it's having lots of bright color or lots of different colors. So this would be a colorful jacket. It also means interesting or exciting. So for me, having a colorful life is also being interesting, exciting, and having these different colorful things around me helps to make that happen. And hopefully it will be able to help you as well. So now, the next thing we're going to talk about is, how does this really work? How do we see color? So to see this, you need to understand, first of all, that white and black are not actually colors. They're neutrals. So white light comes in from the sun, which you can see on the screen. And white light is made of all the colors, which is why if you have a prism and it, or like you're using the hose, you see all the rainbow, it's because it's breaking up the light. But the light is all the colors. And it hits something, and then that thing absorbs the color. So right now, light is coming, hitting my hand. My hand is absorbing the green, the blue, the purple, most of the yellow, some of the orange, most of the red. And what's reflected back to our eyes is what's left. So in this case, a little bit of yellow, orange, and red, just a little bit. Okay, so that's what our skin does. That's what our clothes do. So you have to understand that the light is actually being absorbed. And then what we're seeing is what's actually being rejected by the object, which is kind of an interesting. Last time we had some fun metaphors with this. But this becomes important when we start talking about being outside and stuff like that. So for example, we talked in the last round about if you have white on, you are going to feel cooler because it actually lets the light come off of you. It reflects all light because white is all the colors. So that's why when you're wearing white, you feel cooler in the summer. If you have black, it absorbs all the colors, which is why if you wear all black in the summer, I had a friend who did this and I warned him not to, and it was really hot and he roasted. It's like KFC, like you're just becoming a roasted chicken. And then I had another friend who bought a blue car. He wanted to get a blue car and he said, what should I make the interior? You know, and I said, well, you've got a dark blue car. It's already going to absorb a lot of the heat and it gets hot in the summer. So you need to do a light colored interior and probably fabric so it breathes. He didn't listen, got a black leather interior. And every time in the summer when you went into that car, you burned your butt on the seats because it actually will make the inside of the car hotter because it's pulling and absorbing all the light. This is also why eyeliner was a thing for Egyptians. The reason why they wore it was actually to try to absorb the light before it got to your eye. That was actually the science behind it. It doesn't exactly work because it actually attracts light to your eye, but that was the theory. But they also had bug repellent in it too. All right, so color theory basics. So we're going to talk about some of the stuff that artists and the other people know. And this is important because this is going to help you to understand how to do things around you. Primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. Those make up everything else. They can't be made by mixing any other two colors. This is the color scheme that most people use in children's rooms and for toys because it's the brightest and it's the most basic. The secondary colors, primary is 1 plus 1 equals 2, which is secondary. So that's your orange, your green, and your purple. Tertiary, try to say this to yourself because it's hard to remember. Tertiary is the third. So that is a primary of 1 plus a secondary 2. And they usually have 2 names. So like red, orange, yellow, orange. Sometimes they've got fancy name like mandarin or fuchsia or teal, but those are usually your tertiary colors. Now it's important to know that this color wheel is set up a certain way because it helps you to figure out things like triads, color schemes. This is the most important. Colors across from each other are called complementary colors. So the basic ones are red, green, blue, orange, and yellow, purple. The reason this is important is because of this little phenomenon here. I would like you to look at the screen, look at the two red squares, make your eyes fuzzy if you can, and see which one looks brighter. And then in the window, write which one do you think it is. Number 1 is the one with the red and the green. Number 2 is the one with the orange and the red. The red square, which one looks like brighter, more saturated? Another bell. It's kind of interesting as we're waiting for responses.
That's perfect timing, Alysia. Actually, the bell sounds really nice.
Yeah, the bells are pretty nice here. I gotta say, I like them. All right, so what are we seeing here? Okay. So normally the one that should look like it is the red with the green. Now, both of those reds were just copied and pasted. So this is a phenomenon, and I don't have time to explain it here, but I actually figured out the science. I researched, but I couldn't find it, but I figured it out. So the thing is, it's called simultaneous contrast. So when these two colors are next to each other, they make each other look brighter, which is ironic because if you mix them together, the complementary colors, they turn brown to gray, which means they're dull. So next to each other, in harmony, they're brighter. Mixed totally together, they become gray or brown. And this is important because this is used all the time around you. For example, if you're directing a video or you have somebody who's doing video work for you, if you are going to be wearing red, you want some kind of green background. Put yourself in a field or in nature. If you're wearing blue, try to find something that's an orange background. People do this all the time with makeup as well. So if you've got blue eyes and you wear like a orangey makeup, it's going to make the blue pop in your eyes. That's why when people buy palettes of makeup in the stores, they're geared towards this. That's why they say, oh, if you have green eyes, buy this, because the green eye ones have a little bit of red in it. So this is a very famous work by Vincent van Gogh called Starry Night. Now, I always tell my kids, if you go outside and you see big orange glowing things in the sky, run for cover, because this is not natural. Something's happening. Now, was Van Gogh an idiot? No, Van Gogh is brilliant. He knew that the sky didn't totally look like this. He wanted these stars to look brighter. He understood simultaneous contrast. They were studying light at this time, and they were starting to realize this. The science of light and color was happening. And so he did that to make them look brighter because he uses a yellow orange with a blue purple. Those are complements. So by putting those together, it looks brighter when you look at it. If you want to see this, it's at the Modern Museum of Art. It's pretty big. You can even see through to the canvas. People don't realize how thick and thin it is. It's pretty amazing. Now, there's also color temperature. Now, if you right now touch the screen and you touch the red, the orange, the blue, the green, they all feel the same. They're the same temperature. But psychologically, we think that the red, the orange, and the yellow are warm, because we're used to associating it with the main colors of fire. On the other side, we're used to seeing the green, the blue, and the purple as cool colors, Mr. Sandman. Now, the reason for this is because the water that we're used to and that we've been, evolving around is usually shades of these colors. So shallow water sometimes looks green, it usually looks blue, deep water looks purpley. So that's where it comes from. Now, there's some things you need to know about these psychologically. First of all, if you paint a room in a warm color, it has been proven that you will feel 2 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit warmer in that room. Like, you will actually think it's warmer in there than it is. And the same happens with the cool colors. So if you've got a really dank basement, it's really cold, paint it in a warmer color, even if it's a pastel with a little bit of an orange tinge to it or a little bit of a yellow to it, it's going to actually feel warmer to you. The other thing you should know is that the warm colors cause anxiety. And you have entire rooms painted in those colors, they will usually make you feel more anxious. It is a normal thing, especially yellow and yellow-green. Those are the ones that cause the most anxiety when they're surrounding you. Now, the other thing that happens is because these warm colors cause anxiety, they make you hungry, which is why if you think about the inside of fast food restaurants, most of them use warm colors because they want you to go in, feel a little anxious, eat the food, because if you get hungry from the anxiety, then you order more food, and then you're a little anxious, so you don't want to stay there and camp out for an hour. You want to get out, which makes room for more people to come in, get anxious, eat food, and get out. So it's actually a money-making way that they use the color. On the other side, if you want people to feel relaxed, and I know we've got some coaches and doctors and things on this, then you actually want to consider doing something like the cool colors. So the doctor's offices, counselors' offices are usually painted in cooler colors because it will make you feel calmer. That is something that happens a lot. So and one of the reasons is because a lot of times you're stressed already because you have to go to the doctor or a counselor. And sometimes they're running late and you've got to wait there. And so I always tell my kids, imagine if you were in a room that was all yellow or orange and your doctor's an hour late, like the receptionist, like you'd want to kill her. So you've got to make sure that you keep everything nice and cool and calm so that your market audience can calm down without even realizing it. So these are just little tricks. So then the next thing you should know is that a color scheme is important. A color scheme is a color plan. On this slide, the color scheme is monochromatic. Mono means one, chroma means color. A color scheme is when you're picking 3 or less colors and you're sticking to it. When you're doing branding, that's normally 3 or less colors. When you're doing presentations, this one that I'm doing is rainbow because this is all about colorful, but normally I stick with 3 colors. Black and white are not colors, so they don't count. So they're the freebies, but 3 colors and black and white, and then you've got your color scheme or color plan. So one example of this is this slide. This is an interior design. Can somebody tell me what color scheme this is? What kind of colors are they? Blue, green, and orange, red. You can unmute or put it in the chat, and hopefully Janine will see it.
I'll read it out to you.
Let's see. Yes, the one is red, orange, and then we've got blue, green. Do you remember what kind of colors those are? The red, orange is a warm color, and then you've got the cool color over here, which is the blue, green. They're not primary. They're not secondary. Tertiary, excellent. They're also across from each other on the color wheel, so they're complementary. So this actually has 2 color schemes. This is, we would call this a tertiary complementary color scheme. So all of these terms I've already taught you are color schemes. Excellent, thank you so much, and you said it right and everything. All right, so how is color used by others? So many ways. So the first thing is your environment. We've already talked about the colors of the paint and things like that. Also signs. Signs are created with contrast because contrast grabs your attention. Businesses, sports teams like Tampa Bay Lightning, I think they have, well, Tampa, the American football team, they use like an orange color and a blue color for their jerseys. The LA Lakers basketball, they're using purple and yellow. And that is because when their players are there and they're trying to see each other on the court or on the field, if they've got the complementary colors, it makes each other look brighter, and boom, they can see them. So that's one thing. Businesses will also use this as well. They will use a complementary color scheme because it's more likely to catch your attention on a sign or on a card or any kind of graphic design. Also cars. I talked about this before. There was a study years ago. There was a car called the Dodge Neon. It was just this little budget car, American. So it wasn't even really that safe because usually the American cars aren't as safe as like the Japanese ones. But for some reason, when they did a study, the Dodge Neon had less accidents than most of all the other cars. And they tried to figure out why. And they found out that the Dodge Neon was the first car to come out and be offered in lime green. And lime green, I told you, causes anxiety, which means when you see a vehicle lime green, you pay attention to it, so you're less likely to run into it. So they found that that was a thing. So now fire engines, a lot of them in the US and in the world, are starting to be painted lime green instead of red because it actually catches your attention more. The other thing is toys. If you have kids or nieces or nephews or babies. You need to know that statistically the bright colors are going to stimulate more neural activity. So there was a study done a while ago where they had kids playing with balls, and they had different colors: black, white, pastel, red, blue. And they wanted to see how fast the development would happen with the different colors. The bright colors, specifically red then blue, had the kids learning how to play and catch with the ball twice as fast as the pastels. Now, this may seem like something that's not too important, but when you're trying to get people to think and you're trying to get kids to have some learning, the bright colors are going to engage them, and it's actually going to happen faster. Also, typically, a lot of little girls' rooms are done in pastels, and they're given pastel toys. Well, believe it or not, in some cases that can actually stunt their neural growth and their developmental growth, because it's not actually stimulating them to learn as fast. So it's just something to think about, because all of these things affect the way we see and the way we think. Number 2, entertainment. Movies. I already talked to you about, if you're a movie director and you've got a green field, you put your woman in a red dress, because they're going to stand out. It's contrast. It's simultaneous contrast. Your games and your apps, all of them are using this contrast, black or white, or the contrast with the colors. This is important for you to understand, because it's used around you all the time. If you take a Disney movie and you pause it, pretty much at any point, you will see the stuff I'm talking about right now, and other design stuff. Number 3, meditations. There are visual meditations. If you look up visual meditations on something like YouTube, you will find tons. And they're like mandalas, and they change. The colors are stimulating your brain, and just staring at that actually does things to you that help you to focus and be mindful. If you are starting a meditation though with people, usually blue and green are going to be the calmer colors and get people more into that zone. If you're looking for something that's more of a spiritual awakening, usually purples. So have people look at something in those colors before you meditate or do it yourself, and it will help you cognitively to get into that zone faster. Designers are using this all the time because they're trying to attract your attention. Bright colors attract attention more than dull colors. So your designers are using those to the point where you are so bombarded with bright colors that a lot of people get overloaded. That's why nature is so important, because nature has the dull colors and your brain needs a balance. So somebody in our last group said that they had bright colors in the room where they do coaching. And I said, an easy way to balance that is to put some plants and put them strategically around the room, so the eye has somewhere to rest as you're looking around that has some dull colors. So be careful, especially if you have kids. They are bombarded with this stuff. They don't even know what a dull color looks like sometimes. It's kind of scary. Organization. Color coding is really important. I color code almost everything. I color code my to-dos. If Maria was here, she would be impressed. I color code my Evernote to-do lists. I even color coded this presentation. I made the web map, and then I actually started coloring all the different things so that I knew what sections were what. When I'm doing research, I usually color code and I highlight in colors so that when I go to write the paper, I lay everything out and I can see all the different colors, and I say, oh, this section, this section, this section makes it twice as fast. So I write my papers fast. Next, communication. Communication. You have to understand that your emotions are always being conveyed by what you wear. So when I am going into something where I am very nervous and I need to get confidence, I wear red. And I will usually wear even red lipstick. Christina Aguilera, this is a tip I learned from her, not personally, because I don't know her that well yet. But she has this beautiful red, and she says she does it to give herself confidence. When I look in the mirror and I see that, it helps me to feel more confident, and it shows some passion. Now, if I'm going into a situation where I know I might get a little hot-headed, or I might have some extra passion, and the people there are not going to handle that well, I'm going to wear blue, because blue calms them. So already when I'm walking in, they're seeing a perception of me as being calm, even subconsciously. So the way that you dress for your meetings and for how you're presenting yourself matters. Today, I wore this because it's colorful, but I wore the black because I wanted to have a balance. So it's good to balance these things as well. Also understand that your brands, when you're doing your brand, the colors matter. There is symbology for them, and it depends on the countries. So for example, in some countries, purple is a very positive thing. It means royalty. And in some, purple actually means like envious. So you have to be very careful about your color symbology when you're even doing your brands if you're going to go global. And I'm going to go back. So that's my color coding. The other thing is fashion. I just talked about how you dress, but also the way you unify. If you can repeat the colors that you're using, that's good. Somebody in the last group said that she normally wears black because she gets messy because she's a teacher. My suggestion is have jackets or scarves and just use that as your color. It's a lot cheaper. It's a lot easier. And then you've got that pop of color wherever you want. You can wear different colors every day and just have a basic thing. Like I have a basic black dress on, and then I can just accessorize with whatever I want. But the fashion that you wear is really going to make a statement, and people are looking at that. And that leads me to the unity. If you can repeat colors on your outfit, that is going to bring a visual unity, not just to yourself, but to others. And this cannot be underestimated because people notice this, and I teach my students this. And when they do it, they really see. So if you have orange, repeat the orange somewhere. If you, even on your eyes, even your lipstick, this kind of thing brings harmony. If you are doing a PowerPoint or a graphic design, please do not make it look like Rainbow Bright or My Little Pony threw up all over your presentation. Okay, unless you're doing color theory like I am and it's supposed to be. But make sure that you have a color scheme, 3 or less colors, and repeat them to make it look unified, like it goes together. And then that leads me to, this is an example of how I do. You can notice I do everything rainbow order because for me, it helps me to find things a lot easier. And then how are you going to use color? So now that you've known some of these basics, can you please type in the chat window or unmute yourself? How are you going to use color starting today? Yes. Okay. Colorblind people. Good question. Colorblind people are affected differently because they're processing it differently. So if the red and green are seen as the same, they're going to process that in a different way. 1 in every, I think it's like 10,000 people, also usually guys, sorry, guys are normally the colorblind ones just because of a genetic thing. There are also some people who don't see color at all. There are some people who are red-green colorblind. Notice their complementary colors. There are some people who are yellow-purple. There are different kinds of colorblind. They're usually complementary color sets. And you are on a range. So they're going to see it. I had a teacher who actually only saw black and white. And he didn't know until he was 40-something and he got an eye test. And he had memorized everything as shades. His whole life was like a black and white movie. It was really fascinating. And it made me really not want to take for granted color, you know? So, yes. The different colors have different psychological, emotional meanings. Like red is usually going to be passion or anger. Purple is usually going to be creativity for the most part. Blue is going to be usually something calm or peaceful. Yellow, when it's around you, it causes anxiety, but when you actually use it as a symbol, it's usually happiness for the most part. Green is usually going to show something that's nature. Orange, usually that has all kinds of connotations. And that's one of the ones, it's usually friendly. A lot of people see it as friendly. So it depends on your culture, but overall. And if you Google color associations in advertising, they'll show you that. So yes, different colors for different notes, adapting your outfits. Yep, exactly. All right, so with that said, this is an example of me using a color scheme. This is from Jingdezhen. This is actually a clay porcelain tile. And I use a color scheme of usually a teal and an orange, the complementary colors. And then this was today. Again, as I was on my way in, I decided to be colorful. I usually wear a colorful mask just to make people happy, and a colorful umbrella. And the thing on the right is a painting that I did. So just different ways to use color in your life. So I am going to be organizing some sessions on in-depth color and psychology and design. It really helps you when you're branding and you're working with designers to have the language to know what you're looking for and talking to them, but also to use it in your life. And we'll also have a design basics for entrepreneurs. If you want any kind of life coaching, whether it's figuring out where you are on your life path, creativity, or connecting, the scanning is there. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Alysia. I think we all learned a lot. I'm still thinking, okay, how to do my room differently, how to wear maybe different outfits. What else can I change? Maybe in my company, colors or whatever it is. So you gave us a lot of inspiration. Thank you so much for that. I'm checking the chats now. So guys, if you have questions, you can unmute yourself. In parallel, I'm going through a few questions. You've already answered a few. Is gray considered color since they are made up of black and white? Have you already answered this?
I haven't, but it's a neutral. Good question. So neutrals they don't count. If you actually take any triad on the color wheel, it makes gray if you're painting. So it's actually a combination of all the colors. Gray is just a lighter version of that. Yeah, good question.
Kieran was asking, always wondered why green is associated to jealousy. Would you know, please? He also loved your session.
Thank you. Yeah, the green and the jealousy goes back to my understanding of it. The research that I found was that when people would get really they would get upset, they would almost get kind of nauseous. And you know, when people get that green tone in their face, green with envy. So it's almost like associated with a sickness. And it came from, I believe that actually started in like the 1800s or 1700s. It was definitely hundreds of years ago where that started from. But that's not all the cultures. Some cultures actually see purple as the envy color. So you have to realize that that's not a global thing. Red, black, white, blue, those are pretty global. The other ones, they have a lot more variances.
Okay, next question. So here we have Matan was asking, are shade colorblind people affected the same subconsciously by the colors?
And that's what I had said before. People, they will be affected differently, but a lot of this is also association. So for example, the guy who didn't see any color, he memorized the shades. So he could go around and say, you're wearing yellow, you're wearing purple, you're wearing blue. But because every time something would happen, like whenever he see the sky, he would see a shade of blue. Of course, psychologically, he's associating that with something good. So it's going to be a little bit different, but it's still going to happen similarly. Yeah. Good question.
Yeah, very good questions. Okay, next one. Different colors for different notes I took. Oh, okay, that was the feedback. Going to pair my black dresses with brighter tones. Makeup. Oh, lots of great feedback is here. Oh yeah, next question by Tian Tian. Is there any reasons made us fall in love in a certain kind of color than others?
Yeah, red is usually a passion color. So wearing red is statistically going to attract people and attract, especially women to men. The red is going to work. The red lipstick is a thing. It works. I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense. If you're wearing blue lipstick, nobody's going to want to kiss you because they're not associating blue with like anything that's tasty at all, right? So the warmer colors are usually going to be more attractive. But another option is if you wear a blue, because blue is the universal favorite color, the most people like blue, and then green, they could just like that color. And so those are the two ways that color is usually used in attraction the most. Good question.
Yes, next one.
Janine, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Sebastian.
Oh, thanks, Janine. I'm sorry, I don't know the lady's name because I was driving.
Alysia, yeah.
Oh. Hi. Oh, Alysia, I'm Sebastian from Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah.
How are you? You know how for businessmen, the common colors are black, blue, and gray.
Yes.
So in the traditional sense of color schemes, what do those three colors represent? Conservatism, for example, or something else?
Yes. Those colors, because they are usually, even the blues that are used are usually not bright. They are more
Yeah,
of a dark.
dark blue, yeah, navy blue, and yeah,
Yeah, navy blue is like the closest you get to a black, but being a
yeah,
color. So usually black in history has been piety. So meaning that you were religious, that you are faithful, that you are not trying to show off.
yeah,
So a lot of cultures have used black, and so the black suit has come from that. But also the dark black in the navy is slimming, right? Because the black is absorbing all the light, it's not bouncing off. So
yeah.
people look more in black. That's why a lot of women wear little black dresses, because it hides a lot of stuff. So the
Oh,
men do the same thing. So yes, your suits are usually those dark colors because it's almost showing a kind of reverence, a kind of solemnness.
oh,
But
okay.
that's why usually men will try to get a bright tie or something, because it's a pop of color that can show and express yourself without coming into a meeting wearing an all red suit, which would probably make you, I'm sorry, it would probably look a little like a clown. So
Well, yeah, yeah. I think you probably be asked gently to leave the room. I would suggest, depending obviously on what kind of meeting it is. But in a traditional um, business meeting, I don't think an orange suit would be looked upon favorably.
but it depends on how you pull it off, and it depends on what you're going for. So I'll go into a
Yeah,
business and I'll wear something like this, and I pull it off because I'm doing creativity and brainstorming. And sometimes being that different person works. But the other thing you should know is, as a man, that tie draws attention to your face. So you want that contrast. If you have the jacket and you have the lighter shirt and you have that tie, the reason the tie helps is because visually people look at the tie, they visually follow the color, and they look at your face, which is where you want them to look.
mm.
Yeah.
But though, Alison, though, again, maybe I'm too conservative. You again, my experience is in a what I call a typical business meeting. You wouldn't want your tie to be too outrageous, and the common view is a conservative color, whether it be blue, gray, black, ground, with a bit with some bright colors like yellow or maybe even orange or maybe a bit of red, yellow or orange. Yeah. So basically, the suggestion to business people is conservative background, but a tinge of bright colors, red, orange, and yellow seem to be the popular colors, but not too much of it. For example,
Yes,
if I was to go in with a bright yellow color tie, I think there will be some eyebrows turned.
but that's okay,
What do
because
you think, Alison?
the thing is, you just have to know your audience, Sebastian. So what you're saying is correct. You need to know your audience, but it's
Yeah.
okay to be yourself and to bring that color in. And I bet you people will start remembering you. Maybe they remember you as the guy with the colorful tie. And some people may appreciate it because they might get really bored seeing the same old stuff over and over and over again.
Yeah,
But
yeah, but let me perhaps use a specific example. Let's just say I was working for one of the big fours, right? Uh, the four banks or the four, the Pit Warwick, the EY, Ernest Young, and so on.
for them, you'd have to.
That's what I've been referring to as traditional business meeting. In those kind of meeting, if you look at the partners, most of them wouldn't come in with a bright color tie.
Right. I
Why?
hear.
Because that's the
That is
it's
the
the accepted
difference.
standard, right?
Of
Right?
Yes.
course.
Thank you,
Let me
Sebastian. Totally get
Yeah,
you.
thank
And
you.
you're,
Thank you.
yeah.
Sorry, we got a few more questions here in the chat, and I want to be mindful of the time. So
Yes.
I was asking, which colors stand for empathy or compassion?
A lot of people, when they're trying to do work with empathy and compassion, will use white, because the white is all the colors, and it's got this feeling of innocence and purity. So a lot of people will use that. I've also seen a lot of people with empathy using the color of blue, because again, it is so calming and deep, and it usually has emotional overtones. So that's what I would suggest. for overall in the world? Good question.
Okay. And next one. Wow, Alysia, you got so many positive feedbacks here from all these international people. Oh yeah, this was it actually. You should definitely read through all the positive feedback that has been made here for you. And just guys, in case you have more questions, let us know. I just quickly want to share a few really cool upcoming events by our partner from the Motivate community. You know, if you ever need a training on neuro-linguistic programming, or you need anything else on your soft skills that you want to learn more, please join Adrian and his team for lots of great events. And most of them, or many of them, are also for free. We have amazing Sarah. She's going to be our speaker in May. And this Sunday, she's going to speak about igniting intuition. She's also a good friend of Alicia's. And
Yes. And she'll be talking a little bit about chakras probably. And if you ask her about colors, she'll probably talk about chakras, which are colors that actually correspond to things. So yeah, she'll have a lot of different options. I almost forgot the hat today.
Yeah, you forgot your color hat. And then for everybody else, so this is our lineup. Next week, it's going to be my co-founder Maria and me speaking about live your values. And values are the core for everything. For you when you make decisions, for your private life, the people you want to spend time with, your friends, your family, which kind of company and boss do you want to work for? So join us. And then we have John at the end of April, but on yourself and get done.
And that's unfunk yourself.
Exactly. Unfunk yourself and get done.
It's
and
stuff.
Shot. And that's not done. Exactly. And if anybody needs an ebook or a book with 365 days of motivation, we have it available. Just scan the QR code or connect with me. Yeah, if you like what we're doing, feel free to donate. As said earlier, we give 50% to the 1 Million Tree Project that, grows trees in Inner Mongolia, because I think we all should take better care of our environment and become more sustainable and so on. And yeah, so let me see, more great compliments here in the group chat for Alysia.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for sharing this Monday morning time with me. I really appreciate all of us being here together.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining this morning, and go out there, get all the opportunities, or if you're in the US right now, sleep well, and yeah, have a happy Monday. We hope you're full of inspiration, motivation, and as we always say, start taking action, okay? Take the new knowledge and start applying it in your life right here, right now. Thank you so much, Alysia. Have a great day. I'm sure your students can't wait to see you, and happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Alexandra, Grüße nach Suzhou. Maxwell, greetings to Nanjing. Bye, everybody.